So next, after scope of supply, these are all the subassemblies what we are supplying to DLW under part of this G4P4 locomotive control system. Next, the subassemblies photos we can see here. ECC1 front and back view. So front view here we can find, but it is in a single cab photo, because by seeing this display unit we can come to know that whether it is a single cab or dual cab. If it is dual cab, no display is here. Replacement of this display we have placed in the driver desk, three dials screens. Okay, replacement of single this display we have provided there, total 6 in each cab, 3. And back side we can find here engine control panel, and all these are power connections, top grid connections, grid blower connections, and input output connections. So internally we can find here, if you open front and back side. So here this is the LCC, locomotive control computer, which controlling entire locomotive. And then there is a circuit breaker panel and test panel to measure important voltages. And here below to that, relays, then different voltage sensors, then distribution boxes, ADB and RDB. Then if DPC is placed in the locomotive, then DPC control unit will come here below to the circuit breaker panel. Okay, and relays, additional relays will be placed. They are placing just back to the circuit breaker panel. If you open the breaker panel, we can find that. And next here, these are all the 4 braking contactors. Then SCR module. Okay, here ZCD module will be there. So these are all the front view we can find. And back side, this is the terminal connections. This entire ECC 1, 2, 3, all these 3 subassemblies are pressurized cabinets, completely airtight, so that air filter is there, and from the bottom inlet air will be given from the TM blower connection. Okay, and internally here we can find the DC link voltage sensor, of course now shifted to this side, pressure switches, connections, and all placed here. And ECC2, electrical control cabinet 2, which is placing in underslung. This is in closed position. Just beside the fuel tank, this ECC2 will come, and this is in open view. Inside the ECC2, this starting motor contactors and battery charger assembly is there. So during cranking, system energize this STA contactor, auxiliary starting contactor, and if everything is okay, like starter motors pick up coils and holding coil picks up, and switches closed properly, then through that interlocks, this ST coil will get supplied. System not driving ST directly, system driving STA, like ALCO only, there will energize CKC so that CK123 picks up. So similarly here also system drives STA and will monitor feedback of ST contactor, so that both the contactors energized or not, that will come to know that. So system drives the coil supply of STA with the interlock of all this, ST contactor picks up. Once if ST contactor picks up, battery supply will be given to both the starter motors, and the starter motors rotate the crankshaft so that engine will get cranked. And after reaching certain RPM, around 150 RPM, system drops STA so that governor will come into picture, and it maintains at constant idle or low idle RPM. That is about this cranking circuit in this REST1, REST2 for providing parallel paths. And after engine cranking, during the battery cranking, batteries got discharged. So those batteries has to be recharged by the system. For that purpose, there is an auxiliary generator, 3-phase AC machine. That supply comes to this TB from outside, and from here through this circuit breaker, oxygen CV 250 ampere breaker, 3-pole breaker, the supply comes to battery charger assembly. This is the battery charger assembly. So here this acts as a rectifier, and again the supply comes to here TB via this current sensor, and this voltage sensor now shifted to top ECC1. Okay, as per the OEM requirement suggestion, only now in ECC2 we can find only one current sensor, AGAI. AGAV also shifted to ECC1. Just beside the analog distribution boxes we can find total 5-6 voltage sensors, and this also completely pressurized cabinet. So from the back side there is a filter in this filter box. Backside that the air will come and it provides the cooling air to entire ECC2. And just beside the ECC2 there is a mechanism to place the radar. Okay, radar is by railways. They are taking from outside means. So this is about ECC2, electrical control cabinet 2. And for normal operation, always this circuit breaker should be in on position. If it trips, no battery charging and no excitation. So loco will come to standstill position. So we have to ensure this breaker should be always in on position. Next, ECC3, electrical control cabinet 3. So here we can find this ECC3. In old locomotives we have provided like this, and in latest locos same, only modified to this. That I will explain about further. So here there were 2 radiator fans which works on electrical 3-phase AC supply, that's E output. Again this is also pressurized cabinet, so air filter and air connections will be there. And internally there is a one sensor, pressure sensor. This is MRPR, main reservoir pressure sensor, for controlling the compression. Okay, and here for 2 radiator fans, 2 parallel paths are available, 1 breaker MCCB and 3 contactors. So here contactors also for 2 modes, slow speed and fast speed, are off. So always these 2 breakers MCCB should be kept manually in on position. So their breakers feedback also we are monitoring as a digital input, and in case tripped or off position, system will declare fault. So and so breaker is off, radiator fan blower 1 or 2 in off position like. So always manually we have to keep in on position these 2. And as per the engine temperature, system drives first slow speed contactor 1, so that this is slow speed contactor 1. So system energizes this, then radiator fan runs at slow speed. Further, if temperature is unable to control, as per the logic, again number 2 will be drive at slow speed, and after 20 seconds if still temperature is not within the range, it is not decreasing in trend, then system drops slow speed contactor and picks up the fast speed contactor FCF 1A. With the interlock of 1A, it drives 1B. Why these 2 contactor means, first of all, this contactor to short the internal winding from series to Y parallel connection to make the path, because input operating voltage is same, but fan should run at higher speed for fast operation. So internally system, by energizing this contactor, winding connection will get changed from series to parallel, so that resistance will decrease, so current will increase, and accordingly speed also will increase. So similarly number 1 fan and number 2 fan. So actually these are 150 ampere contactors and this is 325 ampere contactors. As per earlier railways we have provided this, but during practicality some problems faced, because for effective engine cooling from 4000 HP to 4500 HP, radiator fan that the blades size increased. So because of that current consumption also increased. So because of that some tips for welding in 150 ampere contactor. So as per RDSO we have gone for the redesign all the contactors with 325 amperes operation, and many cables were there. All those cables we have converted to bus bar connection. So for the convenience we have shifted all these, like 2 breakers from this side to this side and all the 6 contactors through bus bar connections. So here internally this MCCB operation, for the operation point of view, 3 potentiometers were there in the old and 2 potentiometers in the new contactor. So those are factory set, we have adjusted. So you should not change that without any information, like during maintenance if any problem is there, we have to check these potentiometer settings as per the standard whether these are available or not. Okay, matlab allowable, these are multi operated circuit breakers. So by setting some value, we are operating at different currents and different time values. So overall, this is about ECC3 electrical control cabinet, which is placed just beside the compressor room. Old and new model both. Next, ECC3 4 electrical control cabinet 4. This is a normal. It is not any pressurized cabinet. No requirement of that because there is no any electronics inside this. If we see this, this ECC4 comes only in the dual cab locomotive. Okay, in single cab locomotive, there is no ECC4. This is actually miniature unit of ECC1. What are the main important requirements in the driver cabin? Those are duplicated and made as a small unit called ECC4 and placed in the cab 2. While working from cab 2, if you want to isolate the power or shut down the engine or crank the engine or very important functions that we can do from here, or recycling computers like. So this is practical photo and these are 3D views like front view, switch panel and breaker panel. So if you open the doors internally in the switch panel, only terminal block will be there because all the electrical connections. And here breaker panel, all the breakers should be in normal operation. Always it should be on. And one GR&T CO switch is there, like an ECC1 panel. So both the GR&T CO switches should be in on position because both were connected in series. So if both are on, then only system gets one input and accordingly traction will be allowed. If any one of the GR&T CO switch kept in off position with appropriate message, system will not allow for the traction, motoring mode or braking mode. This is about ECC4. So it's a normal unit only. From the bottom we can find the electrical connections cable. Simply it will pass through this. And this is not a pressurized cabinet like ECC1 to 3. Next, TCC, traction control converter. So here we can see this is the traction control converter in closed photograph. So this unit comes, this side comes just back to the ECC1 after a certain time maintenance portion. So these are all called Harting connectors. Harting, it's a make of the connector, Harting. So from each and every traction motor, for providing input torque and safety, each and every motor is provided with the two sensors. One speed sensor, the other is temperature sensor. So both the signals comes to these connectors from each and every motor. All these connectors are earmarked for specified motor with number. So from each and every motor, the signals comes to this connector, and internally from here it goes to corresponding computers. This is computer section, blower section, inverter section, and this is exhaust blower, suction blower, exhaust blower, like that. These blowers are available. This side, these are suction blowers. That side, exhaust blower. So in closed view. So here we can find the open view of the internally we can find like this: computer section, blower section, inverter section, inverter phase module. Three phase modules form a inverter. So this side 3 inverters and opposite side 3 inverters, total 6. So independent motor control. And one common phase module, that is for brake chopper operation. Okay. So total 19 phase modules will be there. 18 phase modules for traction converter and 1 phase module for brake chopper. And each and every phase module we can find like this. This is the front view, what we are finding on this side. So here it will be there, this side. This is the view. Internally, if you see, these are IGBTs. Here we can find. This is one side and the opposite side. So this is latest heat pipe technology with the forced air cooling. So these are IGBTs which we are importing from outside, like reputed makes: ABB, Infineon, Mitsubishi, Hitachi. Like these all reputed IGBTs we are using. Here what we are using is 6.5 kV 600 amperes IGBT in the MAS control system. So here we can find each and every IGBT is placed on the top of one heat sink, and it's a heat pipe technology. So these here we can find copper pipes. These all the pipes extended from this end to this end with all fins. Okay, and these modules will place as a gravity, matlab 10 degrees inclination angle. So that is called gravity control technology. So in general, whenever IGBTs are operating, these heat will be collected by heat sink, and internally these pipes pass through heat sinks. So the special coolant which is available inside the copper pipes, which collects that heat, and the hot coolant will come to this top, because this will be downside and it will be up. So hot coolant will come to this side, and here through these blowers from the outside, from the suction filters will blowers take the outside air and blows onto this phase module, so that these fins hold the air for some time there, so that the cool air collects the heat from the pipe and hot air will be exhausted from the exhaust filters. This is called heat pipe technology with forced air cooling mechanism. So electrical and electronic devices up to here only. This entire portion is mechanical for cooling arrangement. This side up to this red area, this is electrical and electronics. So back side IGBTs were placed, and this side it's a power supplies, gate drive modules, and for providing safety, each and every IGBT is placed with one PT100 probe. So here we can find this is PT100 probe, temperature probe, to measure the IGBT heatsink temperature as a primary protection. And in case if it is faulty, then secondary protection thermal switch is there. By default, controlling based on sensor PT100 probe. If that is declared as faulty, automatically it will switch over to thermal switch. So each IGBT is provided with one PT100 probe and one thermal switch. Like that, in each module, two IGBTs, top IGBT, bottom IGBT, U top, U bottom, V top, V bottom, W top, W bottom, like 6 IGBTs. Total 3 phase modules form one inverter. And here in the input to the inverter, there is a DC link contactor. Generally, all these contactors will be enclosed so that the DC link supply will be given to each and every inverter. And if you want to isolate inverter, system opens this contactor, so that complete inverter and traction motor will get disconnects. That's why here in HHP locos, power ground fault also simply we can open, because 2-pole contactor, both positive and negative, will get disconnect. No need to open any cable like Alco locomotive. This is that DC link contactor, offload switchgear contactor. There is a servo motor driven contactor, and there is a DC link capacitor bank for each inverter one. For so it acts as a filter, like if any AC ripples there in the DC link path, it will suppress. To provide the pure DC to the inverter modules, this capacitor bank is placed. Even this capacitor temperature also will monitor by providing a PT100 probe. Okay, so these are all the major modules inside the TCC, and here there is a computer module which is equipped with 3 computers. Actually, one side 3 inverters, opposite side 3. So these 3 computers for these 3 inverters, 135 and 246, like it will be there, odd numbers and even numbers. So the heating connector side in general, that is 135, opposite side 246. Okay. Next, functionalities point of view about overall system. So far we have discussed about scope of supply and major subassemblies, and all the photographs of all the subassemblies like ECC 1, 2, 3, 4 and TCC. Next, about functionalities of the system. What are the functions that will be done by entire locomotive control system? If you see, these are all the functions, like excitation of main generator control, auxiliary generator control and battery charging, then addition and wheel slip control, engine control function, GHP based radiator fan control, traction inverters, TM control philosophy, traction inverter cooling blowers. One by one, all these functions we will discuss. Okay. Here, excitation control of main alternator. How LCC controls the excitation? So hardware point of view, power flow, we see this companion alternator, it generates 3-phase AC, which goes to SCR assembly, and there 3-phase AC converts to DC. And here there is a difference. This is controlled rectification. Why we have gone for SCR instead of diodes? If you say, if we go for diode, then uncontrolled rectification. But here we require controlled rectification. The required amount of DC only has to send to alternator field. So for that purpose, we have gone for the SCR assembly. So inside this SCR assembly, 3 SCRs and 3 diodes in the negative path will be there. So each and every SCR, each one SCR is connected in one single path, 3-phase path. So all the 3 SCRs will be controlled by LCC by detecting ZCD, zero crossing detection and gate drive. So then this rectified DC, required amount of DC will go to main alternator field. Then main alternator generates 3-phase AC. Again internally to left bank, right bank. Each path provides 3-phase AC that goes to separate rectifiers, and both the rectifiers output will be connected in series, and finally this becomes DC link path, and this DC link will be given to PCCs and different brake chopper path and all. In this controlling point of if you see MLCC, the main control card, main locomotive control card which is available inside the LCC, this for controlling purpose first it has to monitor zero crossing detection. So for that purpose there is a ZCD transformer module which step downs 100 is to 13.5 volts. If the input voltage is 100, then the output becomes 13.5, and that low voltage signal comes to one a card, this MGD ZCD card, which is available inside the LCC unit. Like MLCC, this is also one more card. In this card, there are two sections like zero crossing detection section and gate drive section. First, MLCC has to monitor zero crossing point of each phase. So separately, all the each phase 3-phase signals will come to MLCC. Then MLCC calculates when each phase has to be triggered. For that purpose, this generates 5-volt signal. In this gate drive section, that 5-volt signal converts into 12 volts, and those 12-volt signals goes to SCR gate, and accordingly it will triggers, and that AC converts into DC required.
రాజేష్ గారు మీరు మ్యూట్ అయిపోయారండి, ఒకసారి మాట్లాడండి. హలో రాజేష్ ఖన్నా గారు, మీ వాయిస్ మ్యూట్ అయింది. ఆగండి. అవునా అవునా సార్, ఓకే ఓకే రైట్. మనకే ఏదో ప్రాబ్లం వచ్చింది, మిగతా వాళ్ళందరికీ వినపడుతుంది.
Battery box ambient temperature. Continuously system monitors, MLCC monitor all these parameters, and if everything is okay, based on this battery box ambient temperature, generates the PWM signal to maintain this voltage within this range. Here 72.5 voltage at 37 degrees, 77 point voltage at 0 degrees. The range is fixed. If the voltage changes also, minimum and maximum voltages are within this range. In general, we'll call it as 74 volts DC, but the voltage will vary between this 72.5 to 77.5 based on the battery box ambient temperature. Okay, so accordingly, auxiliary generator control will be there. In other systems, separate DVR module and all is available. But in our system, this is also part of LCC control only, auxiliary generator control also. Okay, so like this, system maintains continuous auxiliary generator voltage. Next, engine controls like input versus output algorithm. MLCC receives inputs from control console, as digital inputs are different inputs. Mostly from control console, all the digital inputs comes to MLCC. Then based on this, system drives outputs to generate signals for different starter motors, turbo loop pumper, radiator fans, and solenoid signals for governor. Okay, low side drive, high side drive, whatever it is. All these here low side drive outputs, and ultimately governor accordingly it controls the fuel rack so that engine RPM will be maintained constant. And from the governor also the signal will be mounted by the control system, that is LR, load regulator. Like Alco locomotive LCP, similarly here LR value, but as per this design here it is 0 to 72 volt signal. In Alco will maintain between 24.4 to 68.8 LCP, but here it is LR, load regulator voltage. And the in display what we are showing, that is also one difference is that in Alco LCVP percentage should be 0, but in HHP LR percent should be 100% for normal operation. Here it is directly proportional. 100% LR means 100% excitation. 90% LR means only 90% excitation. Like that, directly proportional. In Alco it is inverse proportion. LCP percentage 0 means 100% excitation like. Okay. So this governor output will be mounted as a analog input to the system, and based on this LR percentage, MLCC goes for excitation control. So this is what input versus output algorithm like. Next, constant GHP control. Just now what we have discussed now, that the BCV. So that is with the correction factor, same will be indicated. Here GHP should be 4500 HP. So we are controlling based on GHP. Okay. From GHP, these corrections, if we detect, then we'll get site HP. From the site HP, if we detect auxiliary consumption, like all these compressor, radiator fan, TM blowers, auxiliary generator, inertial filter blower and all, then we'll get input to TA traction alternator. Then traction alternator efficiency, if we detect, then we'll get the TA output HP or THP, traction horsepower. In general, other system they'll go by THP based control by keeping all these constants. But in our case, all these variables will measure dynamically, and by adding all this, will load engine up to this gross horsepower. If it is 4500 HP, after deducting all this, we'll go for this. After adding all this, dynamically will load engine up to 4500 HP. That is called gross horsepower based control. Whereas other system, THP, traction horsepower based controls, because they will treat this traction alternator efficiency losses fixed, auxiliary consumption fixed, and side corrections fixed and all. But in our case, dynamically, what exactly the consumption, based on that we'll add to this GHP. This is called constant GHP control. With this we'll get the optimum power. Next, radiator fans control. If we see this radiator fan control, in locomotive, there were two PT 1000 probes. These are given by railways only. So ETP1, ETP2 in the water manifold pipeline, opposite direction, both were placed. These two are for redundancy again, like ESS1, ESS2, what we have discussed earlier. ETP1, ETP2 for 100% redundant, because it is an important parameter. So here, out of two, which one is max, that will be taken as engine temperature for safety point of view. So in general, both are healthy. So out of which one is higher, that will take as engine temperature. If it is one is faulty, one is healthy, so obviously that will be taken as engine temperature. And as per this tabular form, we'll go for radiator fan control. So till 85 degrees, both the fans will be in off state. Once if engine temperature reaches to 85, number one fan will be made on. Then further 20 seconds it will wait. If still temperature is not in decreasing or stopped trend, still further temperature is increasing, then number two fan also runs at slow speed by operating contactor. Further again it will monitor for 20 seconds. If still temperature is not decreasing in trend, then number one fan goes to high speed. After 20 seconds again number two fan also high speed. Like that, there is a predefined software logic. As per that it goes to run. Then both the fans are running at high speed, but still temperature is increasing in trend and reaches to 96 degrees. If it crosses 96, then automatically power will be limited to 6 knots. Let us, for example, engine running at 8 knots, power will be automatically limited to 6 knots, but engine still running at 8 knots RPM for better cooling. Okay. Then still engine temperature is increasing and reaches to 101 degrees. Then in addition to 6 notch power, automatically engine RPM also will come down to 6 notch, because as per safety norms, at that higher temperature we should not run the engine at higher speed. So automatically with power limitation, engine RPM also will come down to 6 notch, even the throttle is 8 notch. Next, from there it automatically changes from temperature to time. More 5 minutes system will monitor, allow the traction, more 5 minutes to clear the section, and after that 5 minutes, simply automatically it will come down to idle with hot engine extended fault. Traction cuts off and engine will come to idle. There we have to go for that cooling cycle, and whenever This temperature will come down again below 95, will allow power up to 6 notch, and below 90, no limitation. Without any limitation, it will work up to 8 notch power, and below 79, even radiator fans also will stop one by one as per how it has picked up. And there is a turbo cool down cycle concept. During the turbo cool down cycle, automatically temperature will come down to 79, not 85. So this hysteresis value is -6. Whatever the pickup value, -6 will be its a dropout value. That is about radiator fan control. Next, addition and wheel slip control. So continuously here MLCC monitors radar RPM. Okay. And parallelly it collects RPM from all the 6 traction motor speed signals. By default, till the radar is healthy, the wheel slip controlling mechanism works on radar only. It compares with wheel RPMs and finally it generates a signal to derate the torque first, and after that wheel slip lamp indication will be made on, and further recording also will be there. Okay. If radar is declared as fault, automatically it will switch over to TM speed sensors logic, just like our Alcott logic. Okay, this is what the wheel slip control. Next, actually these traction motor speed signals directly comes to TCC. From TCC via communication it comes to MLCC, whereas radar signal directly comes to MLCC. Next, functions of the traction computer. If we see all these functions of traction computer receives commands from the LCC. Actually, either it is tractive effort or braking effort, any command, LCC gets commands from the operator by operating that throttle handle or braking handle. Those signal directly will receive by LCC, and LCC share the data commonly to all the 6 traction computers. So the primary function of the traction computer to receive the data from LCC, and then locally now this computer monitors all the safety parameters, whether I can give full torque as per LCC requirement or I need to derate the power or limit the power based on the local conditions. Like that, all the 6 individual traction computers monitors their local parameters, and accordingly it decides the torque. So for that purpose, it monitors all the TM currents, TM voltages, stator temperature, heatsink temperatures of the phase module, DC link capacitor temperatures. Everything will be monitored by local computers, and accordingly further it control of traction inverter IGBTs as per the computer data and commands received. So as per the computer data and commands received from LCC, it defines the torque, and accordingly it controls the traction inverter IGBTs. And in case of any abnormality like phase module temperature increasing, traction motor stator temperature increasing, or wheel is slipping, in all these cases torque duration will take place by local computers, not global. Individually, where the particular problem is coming, for that particular motor only torque will be derated. And next, control of TCC blowers based on the IGBT heatsink temperature. Continuously IGBT heatsink temperature in each and every converter or inverter, total there were 6 IGBTs. Each and every IGBT temperature is being monitored by the system computer, and safety point of view, out of 6, higher value will be taken into consideration. Max of all the 6 IGBT temperature will be taken, and that will be treated as inverter temperature. And as per the lookup table, one table is there, temperature table. As per that, next we'll discuss. As per that, the TCC blower will run at 3 different speeds: slow speed, medium speed, and high speed, to get the higher efficiency out of IGBTs. Okay. So for that purpose, there are 6 individual TCC blowers inside the TCC. So this is what the main functions of traction computer. And next, traction inverter, if you see, so there were total 6 traction inverters. Each inverter, by taking DC link supply, it generates VVVF output, variable voltage, variable frequency outputs. Okay, that is the traction inverter function. In general, we will call it as traction converter, because during motoring it acts as an inverter, and during braking it acts as a rectifier. So that's why in general we have to call it as traction converter. So either direction, either way it will work. So during motoring, the DC will convert back into three-phase AC, variable voltage, variable frequency. And another traction inverter we are using for hotel load converter, hotel load application. There that is fixed voltage, fixed frequency. From the input voltage, okay, it generates 750 volts, three-phase AC, fixed 50 hertz, fixed supply, fixed voltage, fixed frequency. Okay, this is also same traction inverter only, but controlling as per the traction computer, controlling is different and the output voltage is fixed one. Next, during dynamic braking, these inverters act as rectifier. The freely rotating traction motors, induction motors, acts as generators, and those generators, three-phase AC, generated three-phase AC will come to this inverter. Inside the each and every IGBT, there is a freewheeling diode. That freewheeling diode, here we can see, this is traction inverter and motor. So inside the inverter, there were three phase modules, U phase, V phase, W, or RYP, anything. In each and every phase module, one top IGBT, one bottom IGBT. And this is the IGBT symbol with its anti-parallel diode. Inside the IGBT module, this diode also is there. So commonly for all the three phase modules, will give DC supply, that 600 to 2600 volts DC. And as per the computer commands, these IGBTs will be triggered one by one. At a time, in one phase module, only one IGBT, either top or bottom. If both IGBTs were triggered or fired mistakenly, that entire DC link will get short circuited. So from both software point of view, hardware point of view, both sides, we have taken care that not to close both the IGBTs at a time. And from each phase module midpoint, one phase AC we have taken, like that three phase modules, three phase AC, and that three phase AC goes to traction motor. Inside the motor, actually motor is a combination of stator and rotor. So we'll give three phase AC supply to stator so that rotor follows stator frequency and accordingly it works in both the modes, either motoring or braking. In motoring, actually, as per induction motor standards, always rotor wants to follow the stator frequency, either it is motoring or braking, anything, rotor wants to follow the stator frequency. So in motoring, we'll keep stator frequency little higher than the rotor frequency as per the allowable slip percentage. Based on the rotor, this rotor frequency is being monitored by the TM speed sensor. So we know that. Then based on that N, we'll calculate the N plus Dn. And this inverter provides the N plus Dn supply to stator. So that rotor wants to follow the stator frequency, and accordingly, this is connected to the axle and it rotates on the rail. Okay, this is during motoring. And when it comes to braking, here rotor frequency is there. So that will be monitored by speed sensor N and will keep little lesser than the rotor frequency. This stator frequency will be kept lesser than the rotor frequency in the braking. So N minus Dn, we'll calculate N minus Dn and we'll keep here so that this acts as a generator during process. It acts as generator and most of the time it will generate its output. For some time it will take the input and most of the time current will come out from the motor. So this three phase AC comes to this inverter and here now these diodes acts as full wave bridge rectifier and the three phase AC converts back into DC and this DC goes to that grid resistors by energizing the DC link contactors, matlab brake chopper contactor or these normal contactors for braking purpose, B1, B2, B3, B4. Okay. Accordingly, we'll get the braking effort. So this is about traction inverter.
Sir, one doubt, sir.
Ha, sir.
Sir, దీంట్లో hotel load అన్నారు కదా కన్వర్షన్
సార్
అది irrespective of RP లేదా డైనమిక్ లో కూడా కంటిన్యూషన్ సప్లై ఉంటుందా?
డైనమిక్ బ్రేకింగ్ లో ఏమవుతుందంటే సార్ అక్కడ మనము ఇన్వర్టర్ ని ఈ ఆల్టర్నేటర్ నుంచి తీసుకొని పవర్ ఏదైతే మనం జనరేట్ చేస్తున్న పవర్ ఉందో ఈ పవర్ నే దానికి ఇస్తామన్నట్టు హోటల్ లోడ్ కన్వర్టర్ కి. దేర్ వి ఆర్ రీయూటిలైజింగ్. డైనమిక్ బ్రేకింగ్ లో ఈ జనరేటెడ్ పవర్ అంతా గ్రిడ్ రెసిస్టర్స్ ద్వారా డిసిపేట్ చేస్తాం కదా మనం డీజిల్ లోకోస్ లో.
అవును సార్.
ఎక్కడైతే హోటల్ లోడ్ ఉందో అక్కడ రీజనరేటివ్ బ్రేకింగ్ అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ వస్తుంది. ఇక్కడ జనరేట్ చేసిన పవర్ ని రీయూటిలైజ్ చేసుకుంటాం కాబట్టి దాన్ని రీజనరేటివ్ బ్రేకింగ్ అంటాం. ఓకే
ఓకే సార్. అంటే ఇది ఐడియల్ కూడా సేమ్ ఉంటుందా సార్? హోటల్ లోడ్ పవర్
లేదు లేదు. హోటల్ లోడ్ ఫీచర్ ఎనేబుల్ చేస్తే ఆటోమేటిక్ గా ఐడియల్ ఆర్పిఎం అనేది థర్డ్ నాచ్ ఆర్పిఎం అయిపోద్ది. థ్రాటల్ ఐడిల్ లో ఉన్న, ఫస్ట్ నాచ్ లో ఉన్న, సెకండ్ నాచ్ లో ఉన్న, థర్డ్ నాచ్ ఆర్పిఎం అయిపోద్ది అన్నట్టు. టు మెయింటైన్ దట్ 1100 volts ఏసీ సప్లై కావాలి దానికి. సో దాని గురించి అక్కడ డిఫరెంట్ ఉంటుంది అన్నట్టు. ఆర్పిఎం లెవెల్స్ విల్ బి డిఫరెంట్. అదే లోపల మన హోటల్ లోడ్ మనం డిజేబుల్ చేస్తే మళ్ళీ ఇట్ విల్ యాక్ట్ యాజ్ ఎ నార్మల్ లోడ్, ఐడిల్ ఆర్పిఎం, ఫస్ట్ నాచ్ ఆర్పిఎం లైక్ దట్. ఓకే రైట్. So this is about traction inverter or converter, like in both the direction, either in motoring or braking. Next, traction inverter blower motor control. In the what we have discussed, each and every traction inverter is provided with one blower. So those blowers will run at 3 different speeds as per the temperature to get the maximum efficiency out of the IGBTs as per the OEM. So here that IGBT phase module temperature is being monitored continuously, and out of 6, which one is higher, that will treat as inverter temperature. And if the inverter temperature till 40 degrees, completely blower will be in off state. If the inverter temperature is more than or equal to 41, then this blower starts at running at low speed, 48 medium speed, 55 high speed. Like that, there is a small inverter inside that which generates that low voltage signal to drive this blower at 3 different speeds: low speed, medium speed, high speed, based on that particular inverter temperature module, inverter module temperature. Okay, so 3 speeds. This is DC-link diagram. So actually overall it is DC-link supply, positive, negative. Here 3 DC-link contactors, both positive and negative contacts. Here 3 DC-link contactors, and this side 3 DC-link contactors. So each and every contactor is connected across the DC-link supply. So during normal operation, if we keep isolation switch in run position, all the 6 DC-link contactors will get closed if everything is in okay. Then this DC supply will be come to this DC-link capacitor. This acts as a AC ripple suppressor. Pure DC will be given to inverters, each and every inverter. Total 6 inverters were there. So if contactor close, then pure DC supply comes to inverter, and as per the computer commands, these inverter generates the DC into 3-phase DC, VVVF, variable voltage, variable frequency outputs, and that supply goes to motors, individual motor operation. And further here through B1, B2, B3, B4, 4 braking contactors are there inside the ECC1. When we go for dynamic braking or this self-loading, okay, at that time automatically system energize this braking contactor so that the generated power will be dissipated through this grid resistors. And furthermore, one more, across the same DC link there is a brake chopper path with a series resistor, a IGBT module, we'll call it as brake chopper. Whenever this DC link voltage reaches to 2800 volts, then LCC triggers this IGBT with the fixed PWM so that current flows through this additional resistor. This is kept inside the generator room, just back to the TCC. This resistor also we are manufacturing. It is around 10.65 ohms resistor. So whenever current flowing through this acts as additional load, and it shows the over and above voltage, and whenever the DC link comes back within the allowable range, then this IGBT will be switched off by the LCC. That is called brake chopper path, over voltage protection mechanism. Okay, and in old locomotives, when we have started this, or in other competitors locos also, crowbar circuit is there. They don't have any brake chopper, they have crowbar. Actually now, as per the previous data, in our locomotives we have eliminated crowbar. Now brake chopper is available. As per RDSO, there should be any sort of over voltage protection mechanism. Okay, they have asked like that. when we started our control system, in existing locomotive only crowbar is there. So as it is, we have kept crowbar. In addition to that, we have even provided brake chopper also. So around 500 locos for past 5 years, we have studied the data. In our locomotives, in general, voltage is not shooting, and of course, if shoots also, brake chopper is able to chop the over and above voltage very effectively, and no physical crowbar cases. But because of some software, hardware wiring failures and all, some issues were raised in the locomotive. So based on the data, we have submitted the data to RDSO, and finally after RDSO approval, we have eliminated this crowbar circuits. Now in locomotives only brake chopper is there. But crowbar circuit, actually the difference between brake chopper and crowbar is that brake chopper is a controlling device. Whenever the DC link voltage is 2800 volts, then this crowbar working parallelly, the supply goes to traction motors also. It's a controlling device. But whenever it comes to crowbar, this crowbar fires at 3400 volts by using software, and by using hardware it drives at 3600 volts AC. It's a cuts off device. There is no controlling action by crowbar. Crowbar is a cuts off device. Once it triggers, it will be in latch state. So excitation will be cuts off. So that is the difference, and based on the practical experience and this field data, now in our locomotives we have eliminated crowbar circuit. Only brake chopper itself it is controlling effectively. This is about DC link circuits. Next, ground protection. Here inside the ECC1, we have placed these 3 current sensors. One is for power ground circuit detection. The other 2 are for phase imbalance positive side, phase imbalance negative side. So these sensors measures the current and send the data to LCC. And as per the data values what we have kept inside the LCC, it cuts off the traction and it provides the safety. For ground detection, if power circuit is grounded, then 0.8 amperes or 800 milliamperes set value. Then it cuts off the traction with the appropriate message. If leakage current, either positive side or negative side, if is crossing, and set value is 400 milliamperes. If phase imbalance fault, leakage current is flowing more than the 400 milliamperes, either alternator positive side or negative side, then we'll declare phase imbalance positive side or negative side fault, and it cuts off the traction again with the same message. So here GR&TCO always GR&TCO switches, either it is single cap or dual cap, 1 switch or 2 switches, all the switches should be normally in closed position for normal operation. Next, VCD, vigilance control device. This VCD feature generally we know very well, like ALCO here also same. So time cycles, time to time driver has to work something. If no any function by the driver, after predefined warnings and after particular T0, T1, T2 time cycles, it apply the penalty brake, and train will come to standstill position. And for resetting, we have to follow some conditions: train speed 0, throttle idle, wait for blinking LED off and all, and keep the auto brake handle in full service position for 10 seconds. In ALCO, we have to reset press the reset switch, but here we have to reset CCB first, then it will get reset the control system. So by doing this, automatically brakes will get released and we can move the train further. Next, one more RAPB, restricted air penalty brake. This RAPB is nothing but AEB, auto emergency brake or restricted air penalty brake. This is especially for in down guard sections. Okay. When the locomotives or train working in down guard section, before entering into guard section, as per the sectional limitation, we have to select the speed, and we have to enable this AEB or RAPB feature, so that while working, if driver unable to control the train speed as per the set value, then system automatically apply the brake to bring the train speed to normal safe zone or operating zone. That is RAPB or AEB. In ALCO, we'll call it as AEB, auto emergency brake. Here, restricted air penalty brake as per the EMD logic. Okay. Another T limit feature, track to effort limit feature. Normally, when trains passing the poor lengthy bridges, as per the caution orders received from the controller, motor driver has to limit the train speed. So whenever poor lengthy bridge will come, there as per the standard instruction, driver has to operate T limit switch, track to effort limit switch. By operating that, automatically track to effort will be limited to safer zone. If it is GE4, it will be limited to 294 kilonewtons. If it is P4, limited to 220 kilonewtons. That is the track to effort limit feature. And after crossing the bridges, again without any delay, we have to switch on this track to effort limit switch. Otherwise, locomotive track to effort will be limited. And one difference between ALCO and HHP is that in HHP, train line also taken into this T limit. For T limit also one train line is there, TL14. In lead loco, if we limit the track to effort, in remote also it will be limited. But in ALCO, that is not there. In the lead loco only track to effort limit will be there. There is no any train line signal for this. Next, events, fault data pack, recording and all. If you say in LCC, there is a main control card called MLCC, and another DMC, data management control card, is there. So all the data from MLCC it comes to DMC, data management computer card, which is equipped with 132 MB flash memory. Okay, actually 1 GB bits memory. So that is 128 MB flash memory. So internally, all the parameters will be recorded inside this. And here there is a USB interface on the front fascia. We can retrieve the data by using pen drive or any USB cable. So inside this, event recorder, short-term, long-term memories are there. Fault data pack is there with date and time stamp, user settable configuration parameters, lifetime counters, LTC. All this data will be recorded inside the flash memory. That is 128 MB. 128 MB. Next, dials concept point of view. Actually, now latest dual cab locomotives, as per RDSO revision, this is specification revision 3. Revision 3 point of view, some dials concept implemented. So in dials means digital into analog LCD screen. Digital into analog LCD screen, dials, that is. Part of this dials, actually in dual cab locomotives, each and every driver cab is provided with 3 display units. And not only display, in addition to display, some other arrangements also given. Next we will find in the photograph. So this here we can find this. This is dials specification display. Again as to dials. Dials means digital into analog LCD screen. So this is MEDA display unit. MDS 745 version 2 touch screen LCD liquid crystal display with the TFT technology, thin film transistor technology, and it is 10.4 inch, diagonally 10.4 inch LCD screen. And on the front fascia here we can find 3 LEDs, L1, L2, L3. These L1, L2, L3 3 LEDs provided to know the functionality of the display units. And all these 3 LEDs are bicolor LEDs. Okay, for normal operation, L2 LED should glow in red color. L2 in red color, that is normally display is healthy and working fine. In case internally temperature raised and it has got safe shutdown mode, then that L2 LED becomes yellow. Instead of red, it goes to yellow color. And if L1 either in red color or yellow color, that is communication related fault. L3 if yellow or red color, then internally, actually there are 2 types of displays. One is provided with heat sink and other is provided with the fans. If fans are available, there are 2 fans, suction fan, exhaust fan. If suction fan fails, red color, exhaust fan fails, yellow color. If both fan fails, continuously L3 LED will be in red, yellow, like that it will change. So these LEDs to know the health status of the display unit. And not only this display, in addition to this display, as per dials specification, we have to submit like this, like 3 sets in each diode desk. VCD LED is 2 numbers, VCD reset button, footer, then USB connections, volume increase or decrease options, all these different features provided as per dials specification. Now if we see this display in power on condition, we can find like this. Here this speedometer indicating an analog form. Like, हाँ sir.
రాజేంద్ర
చెప్పండి
డయల్
ఏంటి సార్?
లెఫ్ట్ సైడ్ ఎల్ఈడీస్
LEDs.
ఎల్ఈడీస్ ది
L1, L2, L3. Okay. L1 LED, L3 LED should be always in off. Only L2 LED should glow in red color. That is normal state. If L2 in yellow color, that indicates internally shutdown mode. Matlab display point of view, that CPU is in shutdown, off state. If L2 yellow. If L1 glowing, something either red or yellow, that indicates communication between internally one SBC is there, single board computer, that computer and supervisory circuitry. If communication fails, then L1 LED becomes on, either red or yellow. If L3 LED, if L3 LED glowing in red or yellow color, then internally some display units are provided with the fans. If those fan assembly fans are faulty, then L3 LED glows in either red or yellow. Okay, this is about all the 3 LEDs.
Thank you sir.
Okay. On normal operation, always L2 should glow in red color. That is all the 6 display. Next, here as per RDSO dials specification, we are indicating the loco number. Here odometer with the date and time, and speedometer, MR1, MR2, BP, BEC, ER, airflow. Here speed in analog form, digital form, acceleration also is there. Then TEB, tractive effort, braking effort. If it is in green color means tractive effort, yellow orange means braking effort. Then notch position, forward direction, reverse direction, what are the conditions like, everything we can see. And here in the bottom, LED lamp indication. In case of any problem, it will glow in red color like your lamp panel. And here status messages, crew messages, events, everything will play. And here pictogram area, either sanding, horn, flasher light, headlight, all those indications will be shown here. So this is about display. Like compatibility point of view, any locomotives can be coupled as EMU. Either EMD loco, Siemens loco, MEDA loco for normal operation, not any specific like DPC and all. Or normally one EMD loco, one MEDA loco, one Siemens loco, all the 3 can be connected as EMU because all the EMU train line signals are same, and as per RDSO we have kept the same protocol. Okay, in a single train formation we can connect all the 3 as a EMU. Without any problem it will work normally. Then communication interface with brake system. CCP point of view also it is one and the same. For any EMD loco, Siemens loco, MEDA loco, the same CCB unit will be placed. It is compatible like. Next, DPC, distributed power control. So even earlier also we have discussed. This is here we can find like that. But all the 3 locos should be of same control system. So for this lead loco, we can connect remote 1, remote 2, remote 3, remote 4. Like that 4 remote locomotives we can connect to one single lead loco. And the length of the train should be within 2.5 kilometers. Okay, radius. And when we connected in one single train, we have to configure this as lead loco, and number of remote numbers we have to give feed to this loco. same loco number only, it's guest ID. And in each remote loco, we have to configure that this is remote loco and this remote loco lead is this number. So that side by side, two trains are there, then also we cannot get any problem. So like this we can work. Here driver north signals will be given that electrical signal goes to DPC unit. There that electrical signals converts into radio frequency signals and this antenna transmit that signal. So all these remotes will receive. There is no any connection between remote 1 to remote 3, 4, like all the remotes are directly getting inputs from lead and again feedback signals will be given to lead directly. No any relation between remote 1, remote 2, remote 3, remote 4. So like radio frequency signals goes to back locos and all the locos receive that radio frequency signal. And again there the DPC will convert that radio frequency signals into electrical and those electrical signals as per that it controls in that particular loco and again it collects all the feedback signals and send to lead, because in lead DPC we can find all the remote DPC locos status, any faults, everything, like because all these remote locos are unmanned locos. If any problem in this remote loco, we should get all the information on the lead in lead loco. So for that purpose feedback signals also will monitor and will send to this. Internal recording will take place and indication will be there. So with that one DPC advantage are that distributed locomotives, higher HP with lesser coupler forces, and longer trains we can work like long haul trains concepts. Okay, instead of running 2-3 small trains in the same route, we can connect as a single train and we can connect the long train with single driver. Then continuous brake pipe with multiple braking locomotives, shorter braking distance. This is one more advantage that if we connect these locomotives as banker, from remote locomotives we cannot charge the BP or destroy the BP. Only lead loco has to do that. But when we couple all these locomotives in DPC, all the remote locomotives also participate in BP charging and destroying, so that effective braking within shorter distance, because of multiple locomotives braking, will get the effective braking. These are all about DPC, distributed power control, or consist. Next, finally, salient features of the system. If you see, all these internationally acclaimed IGBT based technology. Why we are claiming this? Earlier, this Siemens and EMD, the original, when we imported under TOT, transfer of technology, they are doing these converters by using GTO technology. But now almost all GTO's technology is obsoleted and even competitors also switched over to IGBT technology. And independent traction motor control. This is one more advantage with other competitors, that their system is bogie control, whereas our system is independent motor control. So where in case of any problem with single motor, we can isolate or automatically it will get isolated and the train will work with remaining 5/6 power with 5 traction motors in safe zone. And dual redundant OFC communication between LCC and TCC, optical fiber communication for faster and noise free service. And in that also again 2 channels are there: main communication channel, redundant communication channel. If one is faulty, automatically by declaring that, it will switch over to the second one. Okay, that is called redundancy, and that too hot redundant communication. Elimination of DVR, integrated control for auxiliary generator. DVR, digital voltage regulator module. Okay, an EMD separate DVR module is there, control only auxiliary generator. But in our case, we have eliminated DVR so that the failures related to DVR we can eliminate. And further, we are controlling through common control unit, that by using another feature like inbuilt feature, auxiliary generator also will be controlled. Traction inverters designed for 4500 HP level power. So here original traction converters are designed to 4000 HP only, but here as per the requirement, customer requirement, engine, alternator, motors, rectifier, everything suitable for 4500 HP. So even from our side also, inverters we have designed up to work 4500 HP power level. Next, mounting compatibility with existing enclosures. Like in DLW production line, if we see, continuously works goes on for all the underslung, and by reaching that particular unit at that particular time, which particular control system is available, they will keep like they will not process separately for EMD locos, Siemens locos, Meta locos like that, because outer control system, entire control system compatibility point of view, outer enclosures dimensions are one and the same. Either it is EMD, Siemens, Meta, ECC 1, 2, 3, TCC, all the sub-assemblies, outer enclosure dimensions are same. Okay, so any control system we can place as per the availability at that particular time. DC-link over voltage protection by using brake chopper. Already we have discussed for over voltage protection point of view, brake chopper circuit is designed. And all the circuit breakers feedback monitored by system. If any breaker trips, appropriate message will be given to the operator. So almost all main important, all the breakers feedbacks we are monitoring, and appropriate breaker tripping condition or faulty condition will be indicated automatically on the display unit. Okay, like for example, this radiator fan 1-2 breakers feedback. So directly continuously system monitors that, and accordingly it will give the appropriate fault message. Next, integrated event recorder. Like already we have discussed about event recorder, but it is integrated because in EMD and Siemens locos, separate event recorder is provided. Even from our side also we are giving as MRT 919. But when our control system is there, that event recorder is inbuilt feature. There is no requirement of any separate event recorder. In this event recorder also internal memory, external memory, like internal is in DMC card 128 MB, external is the 32 MB flash memory, which is separate. Here it is 16 MB external memory card, 16 MB memory card, and removable memory card under lock and key. That is what's saying that 16 MB memory card we can remove. Comprehensive fault data packs 5 seconds prior and 3 seconds later the fault instant. So in general, fault second, fault instant, 5 seconds prior and 3 seconds later. Total 10 records we were able to record for 9 seconds data for identifying the exact root cause of the fault during analysis purpose. Data pack analysis can be done through display itself. Like MEP, same data pack also can be open here and we can find what exactly the problem. USB based data downloading and configuration. So by using USB facility, we can configure the system and we can download the data. Data downloading through pen drive also. By holding pen drive simply during trials, no need of requirement of any laptop or PC. So simply by carrying pen drive, after completion of trials, we can retrieve the data and we can come back from the locomotive. From anywhere you can analyze further. Cumulative data like lifetime counters for each month wise, distance traveled, horsepower generated, or consumed power, we can find lifetime counters. Exhaustive self-test. Earlier only some tests were there. Now different type of test facilities we have added. Through display we can come to know that one by one what are the test facilities. Next, fault message, crew message description can be easily changed through laptop. Earlier, if you want to change any display message as per the customer, we have to change for hardware. There is a hardware IC, we have to change that earlier. But now with the display configuration software, if as per the end user requirement, any message we can change by using laptop simply. But we require authentication letter so that individual schedule-wise any changes are there, we can go for that. And non-multiplexing sensing of digital input and control of digital output. MUX cards. In earlier system, MUX cards are there, so a lot of failures in MUX cards. In our case, here it is non-multiplexing sensor of digital inputs. So there are no any mux cards, directly one-to-one reading. Driver ID, train number, section name, etc. setting through display keyboard. So by using display keyboard only, all this information we can enter. Forced air-cooled IGBT with heat pump technology already we have discussed. This is what the latest technology. In traction locomotive or electric locomotive, water-cooled mechanism is there, converters. But in that, lot of maintenance is required. When it comes to air-cooled, and that to forced air-cooled IGBT heat pipe technology, that is the latest technology what we are adopted in this traction control G4 P4 locos. And individual blower motor for cooling of better efficiency to run at low, medium, high speeds. Okay, there is no any interconnection between one motor to another motor. Next, OFC based IGBT gate drive signal. All the IGBTs will be triggered by using OFC cables, optical fiber communication cables. So these are all the features, and this is about overall G4 P4 loco control system provided with MAS 696. So any points we can have the discussion, sir? హలో
హలో సార్, ఇప్పుడు డిపిసిఎస్ లో హలో సార్,
డిపిసిఎస్ లో
డిపిసిఎస్ లో ఎనీ లింక్ అంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నల్స్ ఏరియా కానీ జామర్స్ లాంటి ప్లేస్ లో మిస్ అయ్యే ఛాన్సెస్ ఉంటాయి సార్?
యాక్చువల్లీ సార్ జామర్స్ అవి అనేది కాదు, ఇది అల్ట్రా హై ఫ్రీక్వెన్సీ సపరేట్ బ్యాండ్ ఉంది. యాజ్ పర్ ఇండియన్ గవర్నమెంట్ ఓన్లీ దట్ సపరేట్ బ్యాండ్ విత్. జనరల్ గా ఏదైనా జామర్స్ ఆ బ్యాండ్ విత్ కవర్ అవుతుంది. ఇది వచ్చేసి 410 MHz సంథింగ్ ఇస్ దేర్. ఓకే, జనరల్ గా అయితే జామర్స్ లో ఈ బ్యాండ్ విత్ కవర్ అవ్వదు. బట్ అక్కడ టన్నెల్స్ లో వాటిల్లో అనుకుంటే మీరు రిపీటర్స్ కి వాటికి వెళ్ళాలి, స్పెషల్ గా ఎక్కడన్నా ఉంటే లాంగ్ టన్నెల్స్. అదర్వైజ్ ఏమవుతుంది, ఒక 30 seconds తర్వాత డిస్కనెక్ట్ అయిపోయి ఓన్లీ లీడ్ లోకి మాత్రం పనిచేస్తుంది. అట్లా ఉంటుంది. ఓకే సార్.
సార్ ఇంకోటి సార్, ఇప్పుడు మనకి అంటే మేధాకి కంప్లీట్ గా లోకో మాన్యువల్స్ ఉన్నాయి సార్, సాఫ్ట్ కాపీస్
లోకో మాన్యువల్స్
కంప్లీట్ గా ఈచ్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీ.
ఎస్ సార్, ఆల్ ద మాన్యువల్స్ ఇన్ ద సెన్స్ లోకో సైడ్ ఉండవు, ఇంజన్ అలాంటివి మేమేవైతే ఇస్తున్నామో వాటి మాన్యువల్స్ ఉంటాయి.
అదే సార్, ఆల్ కాంపోనెంట్స్ మీద ఇప్పుడు జస్ట్ పీపీటీస్ ఉన్నాయి ఇలాగా. అంటే యాక్చువల్గా ఈఎండి మాన్యువల్ ఉన్నాయి మాకు.
మాన్యువల్స్ పీడిఎఫ్ మాన్యువల్స్ ఆర్ దేర్, లైక్ డ్రైవర్ మాన్యువల్, సిస్టమ్ మాన్యువల్, ఫాల్ట్ మెసేజ్ మాన్యువల్, మెయింటెనెన్స్ మాన్యువల్, అట్లా మాన్యువల్స్ ఉన్నాయి మొత్తం MAS 696 సంబంధించి. అవన్నీ మీకు షెడ్లలో కానీ ఎక్కడైనా కూడా ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఇప్పుడైతే ప్రతి ఎక్కడ మేధావాళ్ళు మా వాళ్ళని అడిగినా కూడా యూ కెన్ ఫైండ్.
లేదు సార్, అంటే డ్యూయల్ క్యాబ్స్ అలాంటివి రాలే అన్నారు. డ్యూయల్ క్యాబ్స్ మాడిఫై అవుతున్నాయి కదా ఎవరి.
డ్యూయల్ క్యాబ్ కూడా ఆపరేటర్ మాన్యువల్ ఉంది, మెయింటెనెన్స్ మాన్యువల్ ఉంది, ట్రబుల్ షూటింగ్ మాన్యువల్ ఉంది. యూ కెన్ లేటెస్ట్ ఇప్పుడు రిలీజ్ చేసేసాం అన్ని. ఇప్పుడు యాక్చువల్లీ ఏంటంటే మెయిల్ ద్వారా రావడానికి చాలా బల్క్ ఉంటుంది. ఈ శ్రీనివాస్ సార్ దగ్గర మీరు, నేను కాపీ చేసి పెట్టాను, ఎప్పుడో సార్ దగ్గర తీసుకోవచ్చు.
ఓకే సార్. ఓకే సార్. అలాగే కానీ మెగరింగ్ ప్రిపరేషన్స్ స్పెసిఫైడ్ ప్రొసీజర్స్
ఉన్నాయి సార్, సెపరేట్ గా ఇచ్చాము మాన్యువల్ లోనే. మెయింటెనెన్స్ మాన్యువల్ లో IR, హైపార్ట్, మెగరింగ్ ఇవన్నీ ఉన్నాయి సార్. వెల్డింగ్ ప్రొసీజర్ ఇవి ఇచ్చా.
రైట్ సార్, థ్యాంక్ యూ.
ఓకే, ఇంకా సార్? సార్
ఈ వెల్డింగ్ ఇవన్నీ ఆల్కోలోకి వస్తే అక్కర్లేదు కదా, వెల్డింగ్ ప్రొసీజర్ కానీ వాటిలో ఏం ప్రాబ్లం రాదు కదా?
యాక్చువల్గా సార్, ఎనీ లోకో ఆర్ ఎనీ సిస్టమ్ మైక్రో కంట్రోలర్స్, మైక్రో ప్రాసెసర్స్ ఉంటే ఖచ్చితంగా కాస్త కేర్ తీసుకోవాలి. పవర్ ఆన్ కండిషన్లో కానీ ప్రాపర్ ఎర్తింగ్ లేకుండా చేయకూడదు. ఆల్కోలో ఏంటంటే చేసేస్తున్నారు, నడుస్తుంది, బట్ కొన్ని ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ వస్తే ఎక్కడ ఏంటి అనేది ఐడెంటిఫై చేయడం చాలా క్రిటికల్. అది ఓకే, సేఫ్టీ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ వ్యూ ఎక్కడైనా కూడా మనం ఆ ప్రొసీజర్ అనేది ఫాలో అవుతుంది.
ప్రెసెంట్ HHPK వెల్డింగ్ ప్రొసీజర్స్ అవన్నీ చేస్తున్నాము.
లేదు సార్, ఆల్కో కూడా ఇచ్చాము, చెయ్యాలి యాక్చువల్గా. బట్ ఏంటంటే ఇక అట్లీస్ట్ ఆ పవర్ సప్లై కనెక్టర్లన్నా ఓపెన్ చేయాలి, జీఆర్సీ ఓపెన్ చేయాలి, సప్లై చేయాలి, ప్రాపర్ ఎర్తింగ్ ఉండాలి, మెయిన్ గా ప్రాపర్ ఎర్తింగ్. ఎక్కడైతే వెల్డింగ్ చేస్తారో దాని పక్కకే నెగిటివ్ ఉండాలి రిటర్న్ పాత్. అది ఎక్కడో కనెక్ట్ చేసి వెల్డింగ్ చేస్తుంటే అది సార్
వెల్డింగ్ ది ప్రాపర్ వెల్డింగ్ ది సారీ వెల్డింగ్ ది ప్రాపర్ నెగిటివ్ పెట్టుకుని ఏడీబీస్ ది అవన్నీ పవర్ సప్లై తీసేస్తే సరిపోతుంది అంటారా?
చాలు, పవర్ సప్లై ఓన్లీ పవర్ సప్లై కనెక్టర్ తీసేసి మీరు వెల్డింగ్ చేస్తే చాలు. ప్రాపర్ రిటర్న్. ఓకే, ఎనీ మోర్ పాయింట్స్ సార్? సార్
శ్రీనివాసరావు గారు మాట్లాడుతున్నారా? శ్రీనివాసరావు గారు గాజీపేట ట్రై చేస్తున్నట్టున్నారు. ఎవరైనా మాట్లాడితే మాట్లాడండి. హలో,
చెప్పండి సార్.
అదే ఎవరు ఇంకేమైనా మాట్లాడడానికి ట్రై చేస్తున్నట్టు నాకు పక్కన కనబడుతున్నా, మీకు అడుగుతున్నాను. ఇంకెవరైనా ఉంటే మాట్లాడేయండి.
ఓకే ఓకే ఓకే
సార్, ఒక చిన్న డౌట్
సార్.
సార్, ఇప్పుడు ఎస్సీఆర్ అసెంబ్లీ ఉంది కదా,
ఎస్ సార్.
ఎస్సీఆర్ అసెంబ్లీ ఆ గేట్ కంట్రోల్ అన్నది పర్టికులర్ గా దేనికి సార్? అది
ఎంత డీసీ కరెంట్ కావాలి మీకు అని చెప్పడానికి. ఇప్పుడు ఆల్కోలోకో ఉంది, ఆల్కోలోకోలో ఏం చేస్తాం మనము? పీడబ్ల్యూఎం అని ఇస్తాం, రైటా? పీడబ్ల్యూఎం పర్సంటేజ్ దేనికి? మన ఎగ్జైటర్ ఫీల్డ్ కరెంట్ కంట్రోల్ చేయడానికి. సిమిలర్గా ఇక్కడ వచ్చేసి హెచ్హెచ్పిలో ఈ ఎస్సీఆర్ మాడ్యూల్ అనేది ఏంటంటే సిఏ ఏదైతే 3 ఫేజ్ ఏసీ జనరేట్ చేసిందో దాన్ని రెక్టిఫై చేస్తూ అండ్ దట్టు ఎంత కరెంట్ కావాలో అంత కరెంట్ ఇవ్వడానికి ఈ ఎస్సీఆర్ మాడ్యూల్ కంట్రోల్డ్ రెక్టిఫికేషన్.
అంటే ఎంత కరెంట్ కావాలో అంటే ఇప్పుడు కంపెనీ ఆల్టర్నేటర్ డైరెక్ట్ గా ఇన్పుట్ మన ఆక్సిలరీ జనరేటర్స్ తీసుకుంటుంది.
ఎస్ సార్.
తీసుకున్న తర్వాత అది 1 మినిట్ తీసుకున్న తర్వాత డైరెక్ట్ గా రెక్టిఫికేషన్ అయ్యి మనకి 45 to some 230 volts అవుట్పుట్ వస్తుంది.
ఓకే, రెక్టిఫై అయ్యి కాదు, అది 3 ఫేజ్ ఏసీ వస్తుంది.
అది 3 ఫేజ్ ఏసీ వస్తుంది మనకి 45 to 230 volts.
రైట్.
సో దట్ output is taken to this SCR input.
Yes sir.
అయితే సపోజ్ ఇది నాచ్ వైజ్ గా సరే ఏదైతే సమ్ 45 to 230 volts ఉందో దట్ ఈస్ డిపెండింగ్ అపాన్ నాచ్.
అవునండి.
ఎప్పుడైతే సపోజ్ ఫస్ట్ నాచ్ లో మనకి 45 volts వచ్చింది, 45 volts SCR కి ఇచ్చాము. SCR తర్వాత అవుట్పుట్ వచ్చి సపోజ్ అదే సేమ్ 45 వచ్చింది అనుకోండి. సపోజ్ ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ 45 when there is no గేట్ కంట్రోల్ డైరెక్ట్ గా ఎస్సీఆర్ కాకుండా సపోజ్ డయోడ్ రెక్టిఫికేషన్ ఉంటే గనక మనకి సపోజ్ అరౌండ్ 30 volts వస్తే గనక, సో దట్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు అవర్ మెయిన్ ఆల్టర్నేటర్ ఇన్పుట్ ఫీల్డ్. కరెక్ట్ సార్. సో మెయిన్ ఆల్టర్నేటర్ ఇన్పుట్ దీన్ని బట్టి మనకి అవుట్పుట్ వచ్చేసి ఫస్ట్ నాచ్ లోనే 600 DC లింక్ ఉంటుంది.
ఓకే,
కరెక్ట్ సార్. యాజ్ పర్ నాచ్ వైజ్ వెళ్ళిపోతూ ఉంటే మనకి సెకండ్ నాచ్ థర్డ్ నాచ్ పెట్టుకుంటే అది ఇంక్రీజ్ అవుతూ ఉంటది. కరస్పాండింగ్ గా మనకి అవుట్పుట్ వస్తుంది అప్ టు 2600.
ఓకే.
సో అయితే ఇక్కడ ఈ ఎస్సీఆర్ గేట్ కంట్రోలింగ్ అనేది
ఎందుకు అంటారు?
వాట్ పర్పస్ అనేసి జస్ట్
యాక్చువల్ గా మీకు ఫీల్డ్ కరెంట్ ఆల్టర్నేటర్ ఫీల్డ్ అనేది నాట్ బేస్డ్ ఆన్ వోల్టేజ్, హౌ మచ్ కరెంట్ వీఆర్ పంపింగ్ త్రూ ఫీల్డ్. ఈవెన్ ఆల్కోలో కూడా ఎక్సైటర్ లో మనం వోల్టేజ్ ఇస్తాం 72 volts ఫీల్డ్.
ఇట్ ఈస్ ది కరెంట్ కంట్రోల్.
ఎస్, ఎనీవేర్ ఎనీ మిషన్ ద ఫీల్డ్ షుడ్ బి కరెంట్ కంట్రోల్ ఓన్లీ, నాట్ వోల్టేజ్. సో ఫీల్డ్ త్రూ మనం ఎంత కరెంట్ పంప్ చేస్తే దాని అవుట్పుట్ అనేది ఆ రొటేషనల్ స్పీడ్ ఫీల్డ్ కరెంట్ ని బట్టి అవుట్పుట్ డిఫైన్ అయింది, రైట్? సో దాని గురించి ఇక్కడ కూడా ఆ కరెంట్ ని కంట్రోల్ చేస్తాం ఎస్సీఆర్ మాడ్యూల్ తో. అక్కడ పీడబ్ల్యూఎం డ్రైవ్ చేసి ఎంత కరెంట్ ఫీల్డ్ గుండా వెళ్ళాలి ఈచ్ నాచ్ వైజ్. ఈచ్ నాచ్కు ఒక పవర్ లెవెల్ ఉంది. ఫస్ట్ నాచ్లో ఇంత పవర్, సెకండ్ నాచ్లో ఇంత పవర్, థర్డ్ నాచ్లో ఇంత పవర్ అని. అవుట్పుట్ లో పవర్ మెజర్ చేస్తూ ఉంటాము. ఆ పవర్ రాలేదు అంటే ఇక్కడ ఫీల్డ్ కరెంట్ పెంచుతాం.
అంటే దాని అర్థం ఏంటంటే ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ టేకింగ్ ది ట్రాక్షన్ మోటార్ ఇన్పుట్.
నో ట్రాక్షన్ మోటార్ ఇన్పుట్ అంటే
ట్రాక్షన్ మోటార్ ఇన్పుట్. ఎందుకంటే ఏదైతే ట్రాక్షన్ మోటార్ ఆల్కోలో ట్రాక్షన్ మోటార్ మీద పడే లోడ్ బట్టి మనకి టిఏవి అండ్ టిఏఐ రెండిట్ల యొక్క ఇన్పుట్స్ ని తీసుకుంటది సిస్టమ్.
ట్రాక్షన్ మోటార్ మీద పడే లోడ్ అంటే దట్ వోల్టేజ్ ఓన్లీ దట్ నథింగ్ బట్ డీసీ లింక్ వోల్టేజ్ కదా. రెక్టిఫైడ్ అవుట్పుట్ అయినా కూడా ట్రాక్షన్ మోటార్ వోల్టేజ్ అయినా వన్ అండ్ ద సేమ్ కదా. ఇక్కడ
అక్కడైతే డైరెక్ట్ ఓకే సార్, అక్కడ డైరెక్ట్ గా తీసుకుంది. కానీ ఇక్కడికి వచ్చిన తర్వాత అంటే నేను అనేది ఆల్కోలోని బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ది టిఏఐ అండ్ టిఏవి ని బట్టి PWM విల్ జనరేట్ ది ఫీల్డ్ కరెంట్ టు ది ఎక్సైటర్. కరెక్టేనా సార్? అలాగా ఇందులోని ఎట్లా హౌ అంటే
వచ్చేసి ఒక నిమిషం, ఇక్కడ వచ్చేసి మోటార్ తో సంబంధం లేదు.
నాకు అది ఆ లాజిక్ అనేది చాలా రోజుల నుంచి అర్థం కావట్లేదు నాకు, అందుకని అడుగు.
ఏం లేదు సార్, సింపుల్. మీరు ఎక్కువ కన్ఫ్యూజ్ అవుతున్నారు. చెప్పేదేనండి, ఇక్కడ మోటార్ వోల్టేజ్ తో కానీ కరెంట్ తో కానీ సంబంధం లేదు ఎగ్జైటేషన్ కి. ఆల్వేస్ DC link has to be maintained between 600 to 2600 as per the notch position with irrespective of motor side. మోటార్ సైడ్ లో మీరు తీసుకుంటున్నారా లేదా లోడ్ అనేది సంబంధం లేదు. DC link అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ వచ్చేసరికి నాచ్ను బట్టి ఇంత వోల్టేజ్ అనేది మెయింటైన్ చేయాలి. ఆ వోల్టేజ్ మెయింటైన్ చేయడం కోసం మీకు ఇక్కడ ఫీల్డ్ కరెంట్ అనేది కంట్రోల్ చేయాలి. ఆ తర్వాత వన్స్ DC link వచ్చిన తర్వాత మన నాచ్ పొజిషన్ బట్టి ఎంత టార్క్ ఇవ్వాలనేది అది ట్రాక్షన్ కన్వర్టర్లు ఇన్వర్టర్ చూసుకునే ఫంక్షన్. అక్కడ ఏం చేస్తుంది, అగైన్ DC link ని మళ్ళీ 3 phase AC వోల్టేజ్ కింద టార్క్ ఎంత ఇవ్వాలనే దాన్ని కంట్రోల్ చేయడం అనేది సెకండ్ పార్ట్. బట్ మీరన్న ఎక్సైటేషన్ లో డౌట్ అనేది అసలు అక్కడ సంబంధమే లేదు మోటార్తోని. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ వచ్చేసి ప్యూర్లీ DC link వరకు మెయింటైన్ చేయడం అనేది ఫంక్షన్ అన్నట్టు. ఓకే, హలో సార్, రమేష్ గారు.
రమేష్ కుమార్ గారు మీరు మ్యూట్ అయిపోయిందా? బయటకు వచ్చేసారా? రమేష్ కుమార్ గారు
సార్ ఇప్పుడు వచ్చాను.
చెప్పండి సార్.
సార్ ఇప్పుడు వచ్చాను నేను. యాక్చువల్లీ ఇందాక ఏదో కాల్ వచ్చింది, ఆగిపోయింది అది.
అవునా? అయితే యాక్చువల్గా ఏంటంటే మనకు అవుట్పుట్ సైడ్ వోల్టేజ్ ట్రాక్షన్ మోటార్ వోల్టేజ్ తో సంబంధం లేదు ఇక్కడ. DC link తో సంబంధం ఎక్సైటేషన్ అనేది. DC link ని ఆల్వేస్ 600 నుంచి 2600 మధ్యలో నాచ్ ప్రకారంగా అంత వోల్టేజ్ అనేది ఒకటి ఉంది. ఆ వోల్టేజ్ మెయింటైన్ చేయాలి. దాన్ని ఎక్సైటేషన్ కంట్రోల్ చేస్తాం. ఆ తర్వాత మనకు అవుట్పుట్ లో లోడ్ పెరిగినా కొద్దీ మళ్ళీ ఫీల్డ్ కరెంట్ పెంచుకోవడం అనేది అది డిఫరెంట్. లైక్ నో లోడ్ వోల్టేజ్, లోడ్ వోల్టేజ్ ఉంటుంది కదా డిఫరెన్స్ మనకు ఆల్కోలో సిమిలర్ గా. సో ఇక్కడ ఆల్వేస్ DC link ని మెయింటైన్ చేయడం అనేదే సంబంధం, ఎక్సైటేషన్ కంట్రోల్. ఓకే, ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ వోల్టేజ్ ఎంత వెళ్తుంది, ఏ మోటార్కి ఎంత వెళ్తుంది, కరెంట్ ఎంత వెళ్తుంది, దానికి సంబంధమే లేదు. DC link అనేది మెయింటైన్ చేయడం అనేది ఎక్సైటేషన్ కంట్రోల్. ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మోటార్స్ అన్ని లోడ్ తీసుకుంటున్నాయి, దాని తగ్గట్టుగా అప్పుడు మళ్ళీ ఫీల్డ్ కరెంట్ పెంచుకుంటా పోతుంది. ఆ వోల్టేజ్ మాత్రం మెయింటైన్ చేయాలి. సింపుల్, యాక్చువల్గా పెద్దగా అంత వర్రీ అయ్యేది.
ఇప్పుడు ఏదైతే మోటార్ మీద లోడ్ ఉందో దాన్ని బట్టి DC link వోల్టేజ్ యాక్ట్ చేస్తుంది. సో DC link వోల్టేజ్ యొక్క వేరియేషన్ బట్టి ఇక్కడ
ఒక్క నిమిషం సింపుల్ గా చెప్తా మీకు. ఆల్కో లోపల ఏమవుతుంది, మనకు నో లోడ్ వోల్టేజ్ ఒకటి ఉంటుంది, లోడ్ వోల్టేజ్ ఒకటి ఉంటుంది. నో లోడ్ లో ఏమవుతుంది, మనకి ఫీల్డ్ కరెంట్ చాలా తక్కువ ఉంటుంది. ఎందుకంటే అక్కడ అవుట్పుట్ లో మోటార్ కనెక్ట్ అవ్వలేదు, లోడ్ లేదు. మీరు మోటార్ కనెక్ట్ చేసి లోడ్ ఎట్లా పెరుగుతుంటే ఏమవుతుంది, ఈ వోల్టేజ్ అనేది డ్రాప్ అవుద్ది యాక్చువల్గా. సో దాని గురించి ఏం చేస్తాం, ఎగ్జైటేషన్ పెంచి మనం ఆ వోల్టేజ్ని మెయింటైన్ చేయాలి. సిమిలర్గా ఇక్కడ కూడా మీకు DC link అనేది ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇప్పుడు 6 కన్వర్టర్స్ పనిచేయట్లేవు అసలు, అంటే అవుట్పుట్ లోడ్ లేదు మోటార్లు. అప్పుడు మీకు వచ్చే ఎగ్జైటేషన్ ఏదైతే ఉందో అది ఖచ్చితంగా DC link వోల్టేజ్ మెయింటైన్ చేస్తూ ఉంటుంది నాచ్ పొజిషన్ బట్టి. ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ మీరు ఎప్పుడైతే ఈ మోటార్స్ది ఇన్వర్టర్ ఫంక్షన్ స్టార్ట్ అయ్యి టార్క్ దాని మీద ట్రాక్టివ్ ఎఫర్ట్ ఏదైతే పడుతుందో అంటే లోడ్ పడుతుందో మోటార్లది, అప్పుడు DC link వోల్టేజ్ తగ్గిపోతుంటుంది. ఆ తగ్గే DC link వోల్టేజ్ని మెయింటైన్ చేయడమే ఎక్సైటేషన్ కంట్రోల్. అంటే ఆల్వేస్ DC link వోల్టేజ్ హ్యాస్ టు బి మెయింటైన్డ్ యాజ్ పర్ ద నాచ్ పొజిషన్ విత్ ఇర్రెస్పెక్టివ్ ఆఫ్ లోడ్ వేరియేషన్స్. ఐదర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నో లోడ్ ఆర్ ఫుల్ లోడ్ ఆర్ మిడిల్ లోడ్స్, లైక్ ఎనీథింగ్ లైక్.
అచ్చా, అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఆల్వేస్ మనకి ఈ డీసీ లింక్ వోల్టేజ్ అనేది కాన్స్టెంట్ గానే ఉంటది ఎప్పుడు?
మెయింటైన్ చేయాలి యాజ్ పర్ నాచ్ పొజిషన్.
ఓకే ఓకే.
లైక్
అంటే సార్ సింపుల్ గా చెప్పాలంటే సార్
పవర్ రేటింగ్
సింపుల్ గా చెప్పాలంటే ఇది గవర్నర్ నో లోడ్ ఆర్పిఎం లోడ్ ఆర్పిఎం కాన్స్టెంట్ చేసినట్టు ఎగ్జైటేషన్ నో లోడ్ వోల్టేజ్ లోడ్ వోల్టేజ్ కంట్రోల్ చేస్తూ ఉంటుంది.
సార్ యాక్చువల్ అక్కడ పవర్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ ఇంకొకటి పవర్ ఈ పర్టికులర్ నాచ్ లో ఇంత పవర్ రావాలి అని. అక్కడ పవర్ రావడం కోసం ఏంటి, ఇనిషియల్ గా మనకు మోటార్ స్టాండ్ స్టిల్ కండిషన్ లో ఉంటే వోల్టేజ్ చాలా తక్కువ ఉంటుంది, యాజ్ పర్ కరెంట్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది డిమాండ్. ఆ తర్వాత పెరిగినా కొద్ది స్పీడ్ పెరిగినా కొద్ది ఏమవుతుంది, మనకు కరెంట్ తగ్గుతూ ఉంటుంది, వోల్టేజ్ పెరుగుతూ ఉంటుంది. సో ఆ కండిషన్స్ అట్లా వస్తాయి అన్నట్టు. బట్ డీసీ లింక్ వోల్టేజ్ మాత్రం ఇక్కడ మనకు ఇన్వర్టర్స్ దీంట్లో వచ్చేసరికి డీసీ లింక్ వోల్టేజ్ మెయింటైన్ చేస్తూ వర్క్ అవ్వాలి.
ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే సార్. ఇంకా సార్
అంతే సార్.
ఎనీ మోర్ క్వశ్చన్స్ అదే?
అంతేనండి, ఇంకేం లేవు.
ఓకే సార్.
లాజిక్ అనేది చాలా రోజుల నుంచి అర్థం కావట్లేదు నాకు.
అదే సార్ సింపుల్ యాక్చువల్ గా అదే ఇక్కడ వరకు
అండర్స్టాండ్ అయితే అర్థమైందిలేండి. టు మెయింటైన్ ది కాన్స్టెంట్ వోల్టేజ్ ఆఫ్ డీసీ లింక్, సో అంటే దాన్ని మెయింటైన్ చేయడం కోసం మనం ఎస్సీఆర్ ని ఇది చేయాలి ఇక్కడ,
కంట్రోల్ చేస్తూ ఉంటాం. పీడబ్ల్యూఎం
అంటే ఇది కూడా పీడబ్ల్యూఎం నుంచి వస్తుంది కదా?
దట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో పీడబ్ల్యూఎం బేస్డ్ కంట్రోల్.
పీడబ్ల్యూఎం డ్రైవ్ ఈ గేట్ డ్రైవ్ కార్డ్ కి పీడబ్ల్యూఎం కార్డ్ నుంచి వస్తుంది. ఇది
పీడబ్ల్యూఎం సిగ్నల్ నుంచి సిగ్నల్ జనరేట్ చేస్తాం.
రాజేష్ గారు, మనము గేట్ డ్రైవింగ్ ఫైరింగ్ యాంగిల్ కంట్రోల్ చేస్తాం కదా పీడబ్ల్యూఎం తోటి ఎస్సీఆర్ ది.
సార్ ఎంత అవుట్పుట్ కరెంట్ కావాలో అంత టైం వరకు మనం గేట్ డ్రైవ్ సిగ్నల్ ఇస్తాము, సో దట్ అది ఎస్సీఆర్ కండక్ట్ అవుతుంది. ఎప్పుడైతే గేట్
ఆన్ టైం కంట్రోల్ అవుతుంది.
yes
ఎస్సీఆర్ ఆన్ టైం కంట్రోల్ చేస్తాం మనం.
I think that PWM control है sir. I think that PWM on period off period.
Okay sir. Okay.
Okay sir. Okay sir.
Right, and thank you.
Okay and Ramesh garu, nice to hear after long time.
Okay.
Sir Srinivas sir. Okay sir.